Welcome to the Making Money in the Music Business podcast, where we share insightful views on a variety of topics in the music industry that can help you make more money from your music business. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. William E. Smith and Kenya McGuire Johnson.
Hey, Kenya. What's
Hello.
up? We're back.
I'm good. We're back. We're back.
Got to say we're back. You know, that's our deal. You know,
that's our deal every week. And with yet another, I know that I give us lots of kudos, but we bring some pretty dope people on the show, and it's not stopping. It's not stopping.
It's better and better. That's all we do.
That's all we do. But as usual, you have a music tip, and it's so fun because I never know what these music tips are. I just want our audience to understand that. So I'm just like
she's an audience member. She's like, okay, what do we have today?
What you gonna talk about? Is it gonna be good?
Yeah, of course it's gonna be good. But no, I had I think I brought this up maybe in a way earlier episode. It's a website called Quartify.net, and I think they've expanded what they're doing. They have basically any song that's on YouTube, pretty much like any song, they can give you the chords for it. And
Quartify. I was like, you're saying quarter.
Chordify, Quartify.
I have heard of Quartify. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a bunch of other sites out there that do similar things, but and some might be free. Quartify plays, but it's actually pretty cheap. And what it does is actually awesome. I mean, you can actually print like sheet music from just the chords playing from YouTube. You can download a MIDI file if you're a producer. You're trying to just get the chords down from popular songs. And I'm using it in my class for my students just to teach them about theory and everything else. So it's actually pretty cool.
I think that the point you're bringing about using it with your students, I know we have a lot of people listening who are teaching right now, who are doing some kind of, training, music, whatever. So when you hear our tips, feel free to share with your students, your students too, even if it's something that you're yourself not necessarily using yet, but these are tools that you can be passing along to your students.
And it gives you piano chords and guitar chords.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Wow. Speaking of piano and playing all kinds of instruments, I'm really excited about our guest because I had been saying, I think I did a call out, right? Saying, we need more female music producers.
You sure did.
And so here we go. We're, and I already knew that she was going to be coming on, but I'm really excited to bring this guest. It's funny. I tell you guys all the time, I'm always a fan first, and then I kind of stalk people and, kind of go from there. Although I don't think we stalked. I think just because of being in the same music lanes, our paths just kind of crossed. But I first got tuned into her incredible voice that has such incredible vocal ID. And we've talked about vocal ID before on this. This is when you hear the voice, the moment you hear it, you know who it is. It's like, that's such and such. Yep. And she's that artist. When you hear her voice, you're going to say, I know that voice. I know her. And the first time I got hip to her music is when she was a part of a group called Cooly's Hotbox. Mm-hmm. And Cooly's Hotbox was given to me by Dwayne Powell, who we've had, and who is Chicago's music maestro historian. And I've just been really following her career ever since. And so I'm really, really excited to have her. Welcome, Angela Johnson, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. You went way back.
I did.
I didn't know you were going to do that. But that's so awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for riding with me all this time.
I know. It's been a long time. You didn't even know. And this is what's so funny. A lot of the artists are like, you knew? I was like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it was another life.
It was.
Seems like it.
Yeah. So that our audience, we always let our people who come on, I don't read their whole bios and stuff. We let you tell your story. So if you could just share, I kind of told all the things you do, but if you could share, if there's anything more you want to add to that plate of what you do as an artist, and then share your background, how you got into this music life.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest because I feel like I've been in this for a century or something like that. But I did, start out with music because, I came from a musical family. I'm my mother's side and my father's side, but I started playing piano by ear at the age of 4 because my mother played piano and I was just trying to imitate what she did, playing songs, gospel songs, and just really trying to emulate the feeling of what she felt at the piano. So I played with it a little bit. And then extended it to me taking up violin lessons in elementary school at the age of 11. And I became really good at the violin. I didn't practice as much as I should have, where I would probably get into Juilliard or something. But I got into a school, State University of New York, at Purchase College in Westchester County, New York. And I studied violin for the first 2 years, classical violin. And like I said, I didn't like to practice so much. So I spent more time creating original songs and, kind of messing around with the third floor where all the studio producers were, making music. And I decided to change my major into studio production. And during that time, since you mentioned Cooly's Hotbox, that's where I had met my classmate and friend, John Christian Urich, who's also known in Tortured Soul. And so we created this band together with 2 other members on campus called Cooly's Hotbox. And we left there with a record deal. I finished 4 years, but I didn't necessarily graduate. I'm thinking that, okay, I can come back and do that later. This sounds really nice. And I had to really sell this to my parents. Yeah. But they were okay. They were on board with it. And I also got married that same year. So everything happened really fast. It really did. Yes. So they took it all in and they took it well. But I left there. We toured the country quite a bit, especially the Northeast and Southeast. We went to LA quite a few times. And then we went abroad. We actually made a name for ourselves in the UK and Japan, especially. As a neo-soul band, kind of the American version of the Brand New Heavies.
Yeah.
So I wrote with that for a little while. We did create 2 albums, but I wanted to trail off and do my own thing. I knew that I had it, but there was some convincing that needed to be made. So I put out a solo album during the same time that we put out Cooly's Hotbox second album. And the name of the album is called They Don't Know. And it really was a debut of my producer skills as well as my songwriting credit and just being able to stand on my own without the rest of the band, being known as the people that create the music. But women do actually create music. We actually produce and we do things behind the scenes. So I made a statement with this album and it got a lot of recognition. Actually, some songs have made it into the movies, to commercials, and I'm very pleased with how that went. It could have gone downhill from there. I could have just said, no, this is not what I want to do. And I want to, still stick with another band. But I've been able to produce and release 6 albums. As a solo artist. I've also been able to travel around the world, especially to Japan and the UK and Europe, as a recording artist. And I've just been blessed. I've been blessed to be able to take my family along with me on tour and to be able to continue making music as a solo artist. But, I wear many hats. I produce, I, play music, of course, on the piano and the violin, and I arrange and I compose. So this has given me plenty of room to be able to flex in different ways and to really spread myself, not thin, but just around so that I can be able to continue producing music in one way or another. So that really opens up other avenues for me.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm jumping in, Kenya. So
I know. Go ahead. I knew as soon as she said she was in sound production in college, I was like,
world.
"Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
I'm taking
that's the only way to do it."
Exactly. No, I want you to go into that a little bit further because I think what happens a lot of times, of course, I see this when I'm teaching. The production side is such a male dominated, guy dominated situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to encourage some of these young women to really get involved. And, I have a few now and I've had several in the past, and I've been trying to just get them encouraged And
Yes.
I know it does seem, intimidating, and, you don't have any peers. It's just you're the solo, woman up in the situation, and then you're trying to learn and what do you, yeah. So what do you think, gave you the confidence or gave you the vision to really stick with it and to develop that skill?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was something that I had to work my way through. I mean, I've had a lot of supporters, especially male supporters, brothers that were just like, just do it. You're good. You can write songs, you can form songs, and you really do understand production. So I was given the push to be able to continue, pursuing this. But yeah, I mean, oftentimes I'm the only female in the room. I am often having to speak for myself and not being heard and not being taken seriously. And so because of those supportive brothers that I had behind me, really just rooting for me, that was my way to really stick with everything. And especially my husband, he's been my number one supporter, where, he's a DJ, he has, DJ background, he knows that there's not a lot of women in this business or in this side of the business that's really flexing their skills because they're afraid of what they're going to be seen as and how they're going to be compared to. But I found a way to be able to kind of create my own lane and to have my own sound. And when Kenya mentioned vocal ID, I also have my production ID as well.
Right.
So when you listen to something of mine, you really can tell that I put my stamp on it. And that's what I've been able to do so that I don't feel like I'm competing with everybody else, especially in this male dominant world of music production. But most importantly, I just say, girls, just stick with it because only you can actually interpret what you're trying to get out there. Not everybody's going to understand and hear things the way that you hear. And it's really important for you to be able to have your voice heard, whether it's through music or vocal. Just keep at it. I know it's hard, but the results are rewarding at the end. And it's so beneficial to be able to know how music is made from the ground up.
And like I told Kenya, we have one student that's going up for a Whammy. So,
nice.
Music award, yeah. So
very nice.
She did well. She stuck with it. So
that's so awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So if I can contribute in any way, just to encourage more girls to do this, I'm here for that.
Hello.
Well, that was gonna be kind of my question. Is, I mean, I know I have co-produced, music of mine, in the sense of really understanding how I want the arrangement to go and what at the instrumentation and all that. I think for me, where I start doing this is when it's time for the technology piece, when it's time to actually sit down and technologically, do the engineering or the record, or not, and not that a producer has to do the engineering, but just understanding that side of it so that you can communicate with the engineer or so forth.
And that's okay, because it's important for people who are professionals for a reason to do certain things. Leave them the room to do that, but just make sure that your point is getting across and that you are respected in, how you hear things and how you want things to be done.
Right. And so what my question was going to be too, because I think this is where this is the rub for a lot of females that I know in music who I would say are primarily singers, but want to be able to get better control over communicating what they hear in their head, to being able to verbalize that to, different musicians. Is there any tips or any strategies or advice that you would give a person who's like, I really do want to get in and being more of the producer role? What are some first steps, would you say, to begin that?
Yes, journey? Yes. I would. So there's so many ways to get to that point where you can actually really learn. I mean, books are a wonderful thing. And if you like to read, go through some of these manuals and buy a piece of equipment, not something expensive, but something that you can record your vocals. That's what I started with first. I had a little Tascam recorder, and I was able to figure out how to layer vocals, how to do things over and over and over again until you get it right. And I still do this very day, which annoys me, but that's the perfectionist in me. I'll do it 1,000 times until I get that one note right. But just knowing how to work things in that way, starting off small. And then also get into the studio with other producers, sit behind the engineer, watch what they're doing, ask questions. It's okay to do that. I mean, some people, you know, are a little annoyed about that, where they want room and space to be alone to do all of their magic. But, you know, for a few minutes, just sit behind the board and see what they're doing, and listen to the lingo that, you know, the language that's being talked between the artist behind the mic and the person or the engineer behind the board. You know, all of those things had helped me and was integral in me learning how to, you know, manipulate sound and to really work the board if I needed to do it on my own. But like I said, YouTube has been helpful to this very day, looking at, you know, tips from different producers, and everybody has different approaches, and you just work it to you figuring out what works for you and personalize it. But there are just so many ways of really learning how to get behind the board and knowing what to do and to translate that in the studio. But get practice. Start with something small, buy a piece of equipment, something to record your music on, and just really learn that way. And I love working at home. I don't really necessarily want to go into a studio these days because I can do it right at home.
Yeah.
I can produce my own vocals. Thanks, I'm good. And I know exactly how to get the best out of me.
Right.
But I had to learn that from being in Cooly's Hotbox, because, you know, they used to produce my vocals. I knew there was a different change from the way that I sung music for Cooly's Hotbox as opposed to singing my own work or my solo projects. And you could tell I put my foot in it. I made it my own, and that's where I learned how to really produce vocals and music.
Just real quick, what is one of your secret sauces for your vocal mix?
Ooh, doing it 1,000 times.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that's one. The perfectionist in you.
Yes.
Do you stack? Do you stereo pan? Do you do your lead or your ad libs over and over, and then sort of compile the best ad lib track? You know, what's your process? I
mean, I have an approach for, you know, when I'm working with other producers, when I'm a featured vocal artist, or for my own thing. But generally, I do love to stack. I love the fullness of and the stereo impact of vocals. You know, okay, so let me just give you one. I do stack.
You don't have to give us the whole, because I know you. Every producer has that.
I want to hear about her stacking, because I have a thing I want to say about that. So don't let her.
Yes. I love it, Kenya. So I do like to layer a lot, where I would do maybe 3 of each harmony. You know, I'll do the melody and the 3 of each harmony. And if it comes to be too much, maybe I'll break it down to 2, but it's usually 3. And I want to make sure that everything sounds as if it sounds like it's in solo. I mean, I want things to sound very compact. But I also love I don't like to add a lot of reverb, delay, or anything like that. I mean, I want things to sound as natural as possible. So less effects, I think, the better. And yet you can really hear your sound and really blend with your own voice when you're stacking. Effects are not that necessary, you know, just a little bit at the very end. But as far as ad libs, ad libs are the very last things that I do. Sometimes I hate it because I'm a perfectionist, and I'll try to just trace every little thing. Yeah, I mean, and some people are so natural where they could just lay down, you know, 1 take, 2 takes, and then they're done. Not me. Yeah, not me. I'm very strategic in how I put everything down from the very beginning of the tracking of vocals to the very end. And the same thing with music and playing keys. You know, I really do strategize how I'm going to play everything, because, you know, it's going to live. It's going to live forever out there. Yep. And I don't need for anybody to come and critique me and saying that I could have done this or that better. I mean, it's cool and all. I mean, I'm going to hear what you have to say, but I do know that I put the time in. I really study my own craft and really try to make it as best as I can, because this music will live forever.
Awesome. Yeah, no, the stacking, that's a definite secret. Everything you just said, I'm the same way. And I work with a producer. One of my main producers, his name is Kendall Duffy, and a lot of people know him from me. But he's a vocalist too. So, I mean, he plays trombone, keys, and he's a vocalist. So he can appreciate, you know, kind of all of what a singer is going through when you're laying down. And so our secret sauce, and it's so funny when I work with other producers, they always look at me a little cross-eyed when I do this, but I got this from Kendall with the stacking. He doesn't ever let me listen. Like when I'm doing the second stack or whatever, I have to sing it without hearing the first one. Right. So I have to just be able to match it right on. And the awesome. Thing is it allows you, because he's like, you know, if it becomes a crutch if I let you hear it, you're not going to give it the same performance. And he's like, it's your voice. You don't need to hear, you know how, you know, just sing like you just sang. It'll be the same. Right. And I, at first, was so resistant. I'm like, this is too hard. You know, but when he would play it back, it was like, when you were talking about that compact, you know, but, and it literally, you know, it's stacked only because of the engineering of it. But the listener, the regular audience just feels just this beautiful, just full tone. And so now when I work with other producers and they're like, you know, okay, we're going to stack, and they start playing, I'm like, nope, take out my vocals. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, yep, I'm really serious.
You have to.
I'm like, I'll be able to do it just to say.
Yeah, no, everybody has their own technique, and you have to do what works for your voice, your style, and what makes you most comfortable in the studio. That, which is so important, because I've been in many situations where I know I didn't get the best performance out of me because I didn't feel it was natural and it was forced, and that, you know, I felt maybe rushed, which is another thing I really can't stand. But also panning is heaven when you're stacking, and then you make sure that you pan everything right. Beautiful. But no, everybody has their own technique. And hello to whoever walked in.
I know someone was gonna come in. I'm like, no, we're recording.
But no, like I said, everybody has to find their own voice within the studio, and not saying actual voice, but just how they work and what's their flow and what works best for them. That's really what's going to get through on your product. So
and I would add also, just because for me, the best way I learned was just to get in there and just start tinkering. And then, you know, and then once you're earnest and you're trying, other people will start to see that. And I had this awesome mixing engineer, producer, he just helped me. He just said, okay. He took me and I was working on an album with a vocalist. He sat down and showed me how to mix. And that's where I learned pretty much everything I know about mixing right now. Like,
if you can find people like that, that's a gem, because that's really all you need. Just someone to kind of walk you through everything and really introduce you into how things work. And that's learn your way around the studio. Yeah.
And then I pay it forward by teaching these kids to do the same thing.
That's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
So
that could be a whole, you know, it really needs to be a course. I was in Clubhouse, and I was going to tell these group of male producers, like, you know, there's just so many of them, and they're talking about, we need more women. I'm like, you know, well, do more teaching. There, you know, we all have to kind of, you know, link up and be trained and learn. And as women, we have to be willing to be led and to take that risk. But well, I have a question because I mentioned the vocal ID, and in all of this, I'm like, well, where did you ever spend time really doing vocal training, or that was just something that just kind of came along? Were you always doing that along with violin, or where did singing even enter in the map?
You know, it's funny because I'm working on another interview, and I was going back with some questions that were similar to that, like, where did this all come from? And I do remember, you know, of course, being in church, that's a lot of the training right there. And being forced out front where you have to, you know, sing the solo because somebody else decided they didn't want to come to church that day. So, you know, that kind of thing happened, of course. And then you're surrounded by singers in both sides of my family. I have over 30 something aunts and uncles together, but they all sing. Some of them play instruments. And then, of course, my parents, they were heavy with music. But that training was, I guess, something that came naturally. But the other training, learning classical music in school, having to sing in choir or chorus, learning to sing in other languages. You know, I did a fair amount, but I won't be able to do it for you now. So, but also just being able to, you know, in college, I started out singing in chorus because it was a requirement for one of the majors, and just being able to understand how to approach and blend with other voices because you're not singing alone.
Yep.
And then taking care of your voice. That's something that I had to learn later because I've blown out my voice quite a few times that I would like to recall. But just learning things along the way. I wish I was able to take coaching from someone, and I have, where it only lasted maybe a month or so, because first of all, it was expensive to be able to keep up with that when you're an artist just really trying to make it out there and put records out there with your own money.
Right.
It just wasn't something that I could continue with. So from here, every now and then I would take a couple of lessons, but learning everything online, getting tapes. I did everything that I could to be able to keep my voice in good condition so that I'll be able to perform at my best. And I'm still to this very day searching and hoping that I can stick with someone who can actually help me to keep healthy, vocally healthy. But it really is important to have somebody like that in your background to make sure that you are delivering.
I know. So I got someone. Do you know Lindy? Do you know Lindia Johnson, Miss Lindia?
No, I
We
didn't.
had her on the podcast.
Yeah. And she's
Go
my
listen to
vocal
that
coach.
episode that we had with her. And
Okay, I will do.
And I'll give you her contact. She's based in LA. And she is all about vocal health. That's what her master's really is in.
She's on point.
Being able, she can hear a voice and know exactly what's physiologically
Really?
going on. Yeah, with the voice. And
Wow,
she trains you based on that. So
I would definitely check her out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something important to me. And, especially as we get older, our voices change. And after you've had children,
all
gosh, you go through stages.
Yes.
But I've been blessed to be able to do what I do. I mean, I've learned a lot when producing vocals for other people. I know what I hear. I will give you everything that I've learned, as far as ear training. I know tone quality, and I know how to make sure that things are in tune, without, manipulating it. Those are things that you learn along the way in the studio. And so those are things that I can use to be able to manipulate how I sound on record. But it just comes with practice and time that you've spent in the studio. That's how you learn.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take a different tack because there's another part of your career that totally interests me, because that's the lane that I'm into right now, is the music licensing aspect. And the fact that you have several songs placed in some big shows, TV shows, and that's like awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
To talk to us about that. That the opportunities, how did someone reach out to you, or were you actively sort of pushing and promoting, or was somebody working with you? How did that come about?
Yeah, and that was like, I want to say, well, I'm not going to date myself, but I was successful in getting some music in The Shield. I don't know if you guys remember these shows, but The Wire on HBO and Oz. Yep. I've been blessed, but I did work with an agent at the time, Ocean Park Music, and that they're based in LA, and they were able to shop my music around and be able to find a home for them. And I've been blessed with those placements. And I'm currently right now doing it on my own. I've been actually using Clubhouse to connect with other music agents and other people that are actually placing or sync placing music. And I have been also dabbling, well, I'm going to say more than dabble, but I've been going into film scoring. I've been really studying hard. And that's kind of where the pandemic drove me to, a place where like, I can't perform anymore. I'm not doing anything else. So what can we do to replenish some of the income that we've lost, during that year? I have been, I've been told that I would be good at something like this because of my background in classical music, especially studying the violin, and string arrangement is my thing. So I applied it to some of the competitions that are being out there right now, where I'm really kind of discovering this other talent that I may have in film scoring. And that has been very interesting, and I'm learning so much. But it has brought me back to my classical background, like I said, but learning how to be able to make music for, I want to say thriller movies or cartoons. It's really stretching the bounds for me. As far as what I'm used to, I'm really stretching my talent and gift and using it in other ways that I'd never thought could be used before. So yes, I'm definitely getting more into film scoring, as well as finding more placements for the music that I have created, and maybe creating music for film and TV. But yes, this is the way I think that most artists should be looking into these days. Definitely not going back to live performance anytime soon.
Yep.
So this is another way where you can actually find income. And these things go a long way.
And there's a lot of work out there. That the beautiful thing is that this industry is just beginning.
It's booming. Yes.
There's so many streaming services. Everybody's creating their own content.
That's right.
Like it's just opening up. So
yes,
perfect timing.
It's perfect timing. And, they're searching for music that's original. It doesn't sound like anything else. So they're going to search for you on Spotify, on Apple, all sorts of ways of getting your music out there. Just get it out there.
That's it. Don't
care about what it sounds like. And if you sound like anybody else, just put it out there, because they're always looking for something different. They want to be original. They want to be, singled out. So just do it. They're looking for you.
There you go.
I know it. Every time I come, I'm like, I know I need to be doing more.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I know. I was just telling Will, I have to take a bit of a sabbatical to get all my thoughts, because I just have so many things, things that I want to do and can do, and but creating the time to focus, I gotta work on that. But
it's a lot. I mean, things have changed so quickly for us artists that we really had to find other ways of doing what we love to do. We have to wear so many hats, and we have to do everything for ourselves. We're independent artists. It's probably one of the most difficult things to do on earth, to really navigate this business. Just doing everything yourself, but surround people that are professional at what they do in every aspect of this business, so that you can still remain creative. That's the most important, because they can't do it if you're not producing anything that they can work with,
Right.
So yes, but put people in place to help you out. That's what they're there for.
Well, I was just going to ask you that question. Is your team, like what, because this is a big part of what we talk about, is creating a team and having what you just said, having the support so that you can be a creative. What is your team comprised of?
And it's a very small team.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, it might be a team of two. It's not like
that's what I'm talking about. Well, I have a strong management team, of course, and one consists of my husband, Russell Johnson, and co-manager George Littlejohn, and those two alone are powerhouses. I've been blessed to be working with them, at a very early stage in my career, and they are put into touch with other people where they are able to, put people in place for the time being to really do what they do best. Gotcha. So, but most importantly, like your management, because they go through the personal and the business with you, or, it's really important that you are friends with these people, that you can actually rely on them and trust that they will do their job in order for you to be successful. Because if you're successful, they're successful.
Exactly.
So, it's a family affair here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. We have a few more minutes. I got a lot of other questions, but I'm trying to go back and forth. So
that's okay.
Will, it's your turn, unless you. Go.
I'll let you reclaim your time. No.
Reclaim.
No, I just asked the last question. Well, you mentioned about your husband, who is I've seen you live, and I've seen him just be so supportive in so many ways, and I think this is the other side of, as women who have families, doing this whole music stuff. And so I do try to ask women who come on our show who have families, how in the world are you balancing, managing, whatevering that? And again, another piece of kind of advice to other women, because I know a lot of women who stop doing music because of family, and they just, it just becomes a bit too heavy for them. But how are you doing, and what would you advise?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be the one to advise. I have to be honest that, it is definitely a little bit of trickery, balancing everything. But, Russell makes it very easy. I'm hectic. I can be very, okay, Kenya, we're artists. We
ask you, when is your birthday? Now I'm curious because you keep saying, I'm like, what's her birthday? Are you Capricorn? When's your birthday?
No, I'm a Libra.
Oh,
I'm a
Libra.
Yes, September 27th.
In the house.
Yes.
2 Libras in the house.
Oh,
All right.
awesome.
You're surrounded.
Yes. And I have a lot of Libra friends and peers. It's like so crazy because that is a crazy period where I'm still telling everybody happy birthday. But all that to say is that, Russell, he's an Aries. So we balance each other out.
Yeah, that's a pretty balance.
Yeah. We really balance each other out. And, he's best, men are best at, compartmentalizing. And I kind of mesh everything together. I can't be upset with you in something within business and not take it personally out on you. I can't do that. I'm working at it, but he's best to be able to separate the two, but we work it out. We've been in this game for a long time, been in this marriage almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years soon. Wow. Not yet. Wow. We're almost there. But it's just that we're able to work it out. It's not easy. And we have a daughter, she's 17, getting ready to enter into that college stage.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot to work out. But I remember those days where just off of stage, I would have to rush my daughter to the ladies' restroom because she had to go and he wasn't bound to take her there or let her go by herself. But, it's a balancing act and it's not perfect. You're going to have ups and downs in this business and being in a relationship. It's not easy, but it can be fun. You just have to constantly work at it. It's just the way things are. And I've just been blessed with someone who's patient enough to go through it all with me. And we started very early in the beginning. I wasn't stable with what I wanted to do in my life, and, we just started off really early. We were babies when we got married, so I think that is one thing that definitely handed to us being successful, at what we do in this marriage and in this business together.
Awesome.
That's beautiful.
So I think that was good advice. I think that was very good advice. And I think really underlining and underscoring that it's work and it's a constant, it's a learning, it's constant, it's lifelong learning.
work in progress.
It's a work in progress, but I think that when you both make the commitment that, I'm in it, let me support you, you support me.
There's no I in team.
There's no I in team.
That's right.
Teamwork makes the dream work. So
teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah. Yes, and I think also though, giving you the freedom to be who you are. I think sometimes, when you're doing these, especially artistry that has so many shifts and bends, you have to allow, if you're in a relationship or have a family or whatever, let that person sprout and be who they are instead of manipulate and all that. Because then you get the resentment and all that.
Yeah, no, definitely in a safe environment, you want your person or your partner to be creative, but he keeps me grounded too. Yeah. He won't let me get too far out there where it's like, hey, bring it down. And then come back. And my daughter's there to do that too. So they keep me grounded, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, this has been outstanding. I knew it would be. I would love for you to share if you have any. It sounds like you've been focusing mostly during the pandemic on the scoring piece, but if there's any new projects or anything you want to be able to announce, this would be a great time to do so. And if not, then just share how people can follow you on social media.
Yeah, well, I'm always working on things, especially in the house music world. That's a love of mine. I have half of my life into the house music world and then the other side of R&B and soul. But definitely keep looking for me. I want to say when they're coming out, but with other producers, they kind of just put things out there and then you find out later when it's been released. But other than that, I've been really, like I said, been focused on myself as a artist, and I will be releasing house music of my own.
Awesome.
Then I'll also be, looking into entering more competitions in the film scoring. So I'm starting to open up about it and tell people more about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be posting on my YouTube and can I say this right? And get this, y'all. I just started wearing braces too, so I'm getting used to speaking. So I hope there wasn't too much of a list. But I have a YouTube channel, Angela Johnson _1, and I will be posting some of my film score work on there. I have posted one already. So people can please check that out and comment and hit the like button.
Yes.
Then, of course, you can find me on Instagram at Angela Johnson Music, Twitter, Angela Johnson _1, Facebook, of course, Angela Johnson Sings. I'm interactive, but I'm not on there every single day like some people. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. But, I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially where you guys are. I mean, Chicago, I have so much love, and I can't wait to get back there. But I'm hoping to put out more releases in the R&B music world and of course, in the house music world. But thank you so much for the support, and thank you for having me do this. This was so lovely.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
I knew it was going to be fantastic. You have such a beautiful spirit about you.
Aw, thank you.
And I know we haven't been able to sit down and talk like this before. So this has been awesome.
We're going to definitely have
Same
you
here.
back to
Please
talk about some of these production techniques and something.
Yes.
Oh, I know. I mean, we really, you said you're on Clubhouse. I'm like, I'm going to go follow you on Clubhouse.
Oh, please do. I have to find you. Yes.
Yes.
See, all
do
y'all
that.
Clubhouse stuff, man. Y'all just.
Wait, you're not in yet? I'm sorry.
He doesn't have an iPhone.
I don't have an iPhone. I'm not
It's
Apple.
very exclusive. That's really discriminatory.
I'm on PC and Android. I'm saying I feel discriminated against.
I feel you. I do. And I'm not on Clubhouse all the time either. But, when I'm researching and just trying to get to know a little bit more people, that's where you'll find me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You guys definitely follow Angela. Listen to her music. It's all over every digital outlet. You can go to your website. What is your website?
Oh, yes. AngelaJohnson.com. Very easy.
Oh, nice and easy. Angela, how did you get that done? You must have got
I don't even know. Very early. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, right.
I got on it really early.
Yes, go check her out. You'll love, you'll groove. She's got, when you talk, it's funny. I think sometimes people think R&B soul is going to be, no, she's that the house influence and the movement and just feel good.
I'm going to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's really, really dope music. So, all right. Well, yet again, another good interview.
Yet again. We did it again.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And we will be back again next week. And just make sure you guys, again, are watching us on YouTube if you're listening to this on SoundCloud or iTunes or any of the digital audio outlets.
And DC Radio.
And we're on DC Radio. And so, they play us in syndication. So we never really quite know which episodes, because we're played every day, every day at 4 p.m. But make sure you tune in. You'll hear Will and I, and then we always have a special guest that we're interviewing. So tune in.
All right. We'll talk to y'all next week.
We'll talk soon. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Please subscribe to our podcast on your podcast player and leave us a rating and review. Also, please leave us a comment on our Facebook or Instagram page. And if you would like to contact us about a specific topic, you can email us at 3mbpodcast@gmail.com.